Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof Rye. Dustin, I have been an outspoken advocate of the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel bourbons, and you said, now try the rye. You said this is just as impressive, and if I can read the label, it is...
Green and gold, Jack, not a good choice.
What was it? 64.25%?
Yeah, it's like 128.5 here.
It's like Notre Dame. It's just green and gold.
Yeah.
I cannot pick that
Not
up
as good
at
a
all.
gold, though. Notre Dame's a little more popping gold.
Yeah. So anyway, we've had, at least in my opinion, we've had incredible luck with Jack Daniel's single barrels. Every time someone asks me, is there any bourbon we can find in Central Ohio that's readily available that I don't have to, win in a lottery or commit a crime for, I say Jack Daniel's single barrels.
Yep.
Find the bourbon ones. But the rye ones, I've been staring me in the face. This is my first time with one of the rye Dustins. You were able to pick it up.
Yeah,
I'm excited to try
it
it.
showed up, I don't know, maybe close to a year ago, not quite. And they were a little hard to get at first, but now they're starting to be more on the shelves. So.
Love these things. Me and Adam were in the car this week going to grab lunch, and we stopped at the liquor store, and I saw a couple different ones, one rye, one bourbon. I was like, love these things.
Yeah, we're going to bring you guys a couple more Jack Daniels here the next few weeks. We got some samples of some stuff. I've got a bottle or two, so we're going to really showcase that we think Jack has actually become a brand that's actually putting out top shelf, premium, good stuff.
They're barrel proof. Let me be extremely clear on that point. It's not the regular Jack or the gentleman's Jack. It's the barrel proof stuff. High ABV, barrel proof. High ABV stuff that we've come to really appreciate from Jack Daniel's. So let's get to this rye.
Yeah. And right away, the proof is on the nose. Now, this is actually on the lower side of some of these. I've seen 130 pluses. This is 128. Bold, rich, sweet, with like a chalky, heavy oak. Surprisingly oaky.
Mm-hmm. These offerings are usually oaky, but this is hot for even them.
A little bit of, again, that banana Foster, vanilla, hint of Dr. Pepper. Very classic. I guess the Jack Daniel's notes and profiles come through maybe from the yeast strain, because it's right here, Jack DNA all over this thing.
Yeah, I would say Dr. Pepper's 23 flavors and a little bit of char.
There's some heavy char here.
You think that's from pouring it over like the chips at the end?
I mean, they do that whole charcoal filtering, which I'm pretty sure is still involved here. I mean, that could be doing some of it for sure. It'd be interesting to get like a Jack Daniel's that they didn't do that process on, just to see what their distillate does otherwise.
That's from what I understand, that's a process with everything.
Yeah. But, they're owned by Brown-Forman. They could do a special edition where they skip the Lincoln County method.
Boy, that's rich. It's not overly minty, you know what I mean?
I really don't get... I'm struggling to get any rye notes here. It's so charry, rich.
There is a drying mint note to it.
I think when we add water, we're going to unravel more of the rye note but on the nose. But right now, it's rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's rich, it's charred, but I do pick up the bourbon note as a piece of it.
Remember, it's a rye note, not bourbon.
I'm sorry. I meant the rye note. I do pick up the rye note. It's just probably the third or fourth thing I pick up.
I get some of the caramel. I get some, vanilla.
Absolutely.
Like, I get some classic bourbon notes here.
Absolutely.
This doesn't make me think high rye.
But again, I agree, or as I mentioned before, I could see this one being a bourbon, being 51% corn, and I could see this one being 51% rye. I think this is another one that I would say the mash bill is no more than 65, 66 in one direction or the other. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, same here. Exactly, 65 sounds like about right, actually. All right, on the palate, man. Rye is here. It is definitely a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof bourbon with a nice little bit of spicy rye. Real sharp finish, a lot of char. I'm really surprised how charred it is. I mean, I know that Jack does do some heat cycling, like all the Brown-Forman brand does. Mm-hmm. So maybe these are in those rickhouses, but man, it's super charry. Got some smoke coming through. It's so intense, though. I do want to go and put a healthy amount of water. I'm going to go right into water, guys. Let Mike give his thoughts while I play with it.
Whew. That's an aggressive whiskey. You're right. The bourbon notes hit first. You get all that sweetness, that caramel, that Dr. Pepper. Very recognizable as Jack Daniels. And then like the rye notes kind of come in as a secondary complement to it. At least secondary as far as its arrival. Mm-hmm. And even like as far as the volume. I mean, it feels like, a third of the experience. I'm not saying it's not substantial, but it comes in second. It's a nice mintiness, not over the top. Like I'm not really getting tobacco notes with this rye. But I am getting a chalky Mentos style complement to it. Mm-hmm. But it feels more bourbon forward than it does rye.
Yeah, they have not escaped the Jack Daniels character here at all. So anybody who's not a super rye fan, this drinks like high rye bourbon
this
more than it drinks like a rye.
Yeah, this bourbon drinker's rye for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna actually even add a little bit more water. I've been kind of playing with it already here, Mike.
I can tell you right away with the water, the mint note is increasing.
The mint does. It's more like a Mentos, which I kind of think of as like a chocolate mint kind of thing.
It's chalky too.
Yeah, and chalky. This is a very chalky. The oak notes, it's weird, Mike. It comes off a little unrefined, like a younger whiskey, but it comes off with enough char and oak that it's like almost like it got over oaked. This barrel, I don't think is an exceptional barrel, but I've noticed people who've had some bad ones, and this is not that. It's a decent barrel. Yeah, a little minerality. Classic rye spice is definitely coming through more.
The char note is, I know we mentioned a few times, it's really churned up in this.
I was actually asking somebody, because they were saying that their rye one was super minty. This has a nice mint to it now that I'm really digging in, but it's not super minty. It's more of that red berry Christmas spice after char and bourbon.
There's no way I'd call this high mint.
No, it has a little subtle touch of mint here.
I mean, that part of it is absolutely a compliment.
I actually like the Mentos note. It's really nice.
I agree. And it's distinctly that. It's a sharp rye. Like, it's not overpowering. It's the first thing you pick up, but, it's that sweet candied Mentos.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really enjoying that Mentos note. That's probably the best on the nose, especially. It's the best part of this. The second best is that rye spice. The least favorite part is that heavy char, where I do think something went wrong with this barrel with the oak. Either needed more time or less. I don't know Jack.
You're correct. I mean, my guess would be it would need more time. It comes off a bit harsh on the sweeter caramel bourbon flavors. Maybe they charred it too much. Maybe it was young.
I'm thinking maybe this barrel needed to be taken out of the heat sink rickhouse and put in like the basement for 2 years, 3 years to let it kind of mellow. But hey,
Think about the way you talk to somebody, because it's harsh.
This needed to be put in isolation for a little bit. But that said, now that I've added a decent amount of water, it has a beautiful upfront sweetness, which I'm always worried about. Like, people get super obsessed with these high proof whiskeys based on the proof alone, and they like that just incredible punch on the tongue. There's a good bourbon, rye, whatever, beneath it.
This thing is smoking, though. The more water you put in it, the more the rye comes up, and like the bourbon aspects of it don't settle down at all, and the char aspects don't settle down. It just becomes
There's so much vanilla and caramel.
Water just adds to the fire. It's like putting water in this is truly putting gasoline on a fire.
Actually, now I've finally got enough water in here where the char's kind of subsided. It's now really nice vanilla, spice, rye. It's a really well constructed single barrel with a few sharp, rough edges that unfortunately you're going to deal with. So I'm actually happy we're bringing this bottle to people. This is not a hitter, but this is not a shitter.
This is just young.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, younger than what we've traditionally had from the single barrels.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a barrel that didn't quite hit. I've heard that you want the 130 pluses too, that they're a little better.
With a lot of things. A lot of bourbons.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard,
Lucky Sevens. I mean,
Blanton straight from the barrel. God, those under 130s are not good.
All good points. So we're at Dustin as far as a whiskey score on this one.
With enough water, it did refined itself. I'm going to give it a solid 87. It's good whiskey. Not epic. $65, by the way, Mike, which, I mean, is really hard to complain today's market.
Yeah, I figured you'd be an 87 because it's really an 86 as far as the whiskey score. I'm usually very complimentary on these, but I will say this: my enjoyment of this is probably 83, 82.
Really? Okay. Too spicy for you?
Mint note's wrong, and the
Okay.
bourbon note doesn't complement it in the right way.
Gotcha.
Too disjointed. This has been my least of all of the single barrel Jack Daniels I've tried.
I'm really hoping we get some Chris Fletcher picks, like the bourbon ones we brought you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
The little
'Cause
bottle.
the little bottle. Those, I think there's going to be some of those coming our way, and I'm really excited because I'm positive there's going to be some absolute hitters that you can find.
I'd be willing to put money. This pick was on 1 of 2 days. Friday in the afternoon, I was like, I'm having a good day. Let's go. Or Monday morning.
Monday morning, where he was just
Where it's just like, you know what?
not ready yet.
It's raining outside, and I'm not ready to do this right now. Like, fine, let's just get this over with.
I feel like
I'm getting divorced.
See, my thought is
Take this.
I feel like this is Tuesday. He just didn't really enjoy his Monday, but I don't get it because I've had some that were terrible. This one's not terrible, but there also are some that are killers. So
Those are our thoughts on this whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
happy, believe it or not, Jack's good. Sometimes.
It could be better. Next time. Bye.
Yeah.